So you're going to Hawaii, specifically Maui, and you're taking your bike, which may be the best decision you've ever made. But you may not know where to go. So this video, I'm going to try and explain everything you need to know about riding your bike in Maui in the shortest amount of time possible. I'm going to break it down into 3 sections: routes, equipment, and just extra things you should know. Let's start off with the routes. I'm going to break this section into 3 smaller sections. We're going to start off with the west side. The west side of the mountain, or rather the island, is smaller than the east side. It's kind of that lump coming off the side. This half of the island has a few good rides. The best known one that you've probably heard of already is the West Side Loop. This is an incredibly fun ride. You get to be on the coast almost the entire time, except for that little split part in the middle that no one can pronounce the name of. It's, it's something like that. It's very fun. You get to go all the way around on back roads, skinny roads, and then finishing off with a highway depending on where you started. In my opinion, the better ride, if you have someone to pick you up, is just that top or back side so that you can just skip the highway and the boring, not on the coast side part. That's a very fun ride. It only takes a few hours, and coming down that west side is arguably the best descent I've ever done. So moving on to the east side, this side of the island is definitely the less ridden side of the island, and the reason for that is it's either very trafficy or inaccessible to cars, which is not ideal if you don't want to get hit by a car, or if you have an incident and the person with your car can't come get you. So that is definitely something to consider. But that said, the road to Hana, which is the top part of the east side, is an incredibly beautiful ride if you can tolerate the traffic. I would not recommend that for people that are not confident in riding around cars, because there were quite a few cars, but it was so beautiful. So I definitely would recommend. Once you get past Hana, a little bit after that, you get to the national park, which is where they ask that tourists turn around and don't go any further. After this point, the road gets very unmaintained and even turns into gravel for a little bit. We'll get into that later. But if you can get past that section of like mental and physical struggle, then you get onto this beautiful southern coast and there's no one around, and the road is 2 lanes. You can see it forever. It goes from jungle on the north to like desert plains on the south, which is such a cool thing to experience all in one ride. That altogether is about 90 miles if you start in Paia, go all the way around, end back in Paia. There is some sizable climbs on that, so that's something to be aware of. Back on the west side, there's only one sizable climb. Moving on to the last section, which I would consider Haleakala to be a section all on its own, even though it's on the east side. This is the world's longest paved climb. It is not, but they like to call it that. And it is an amazing ride, and even though it's a monstrously huge climb, it's never too steep. So I think that even people that are not super fit can get this done. Just allow yourselves a lot of hours to get it done. One thing I'd recommend for that is to bring layers, but get into that in a second when we talk about equipment. I'd also beware of the weather going up Haleakala. It can change really quick. Really just the weather on the whole island, because it can change just like you've got oceans on either sides, clouds can come in pretty quick, so beware of that. So yeah, moving on to equipment. This is going to be controversial for you road riders out there, but bring big tires. I brought 38s this year, and I would argue that if you want to do that east side loop, you'd even want a little bit bigger because of those gravel sections. It was just so draining with slick 38s. And being drained right in the middle of a long ride isn't ideal, especially when the next thing is big climbs. So beware of the tire situation. I'd also say that in general there are some rougher roads, so bringing thicker than normal tires would be a good idea. For kit, even though you're going to a tropical island, I would recommend bringing a whole range of kit, from thermal bibs to jacket to summer kit, because if you do decide to go up to Haleakala, it was pretty cold. It was in the low 50s when I got up there, and then it was raining on the way down. So definitely bring warm clothes and dry clothes to get you through all of those rides. I would recommend also bringing more water than you think you need, because it's a good chance that you're going to Maui from somewhere cold and you probably haven't been drinking as much. And I got messed up with that, where I was taking the same concentrated bottles that I was using in the cold, and it wasn't enough water. So just compensate for that change. It was an awesome experience to get to do this. My random tips here: even though you cannot bring CO2 on an airplane, don't do that. They'll put you on a list. Do bring the rest of your tools, and even buy CO2 when you get there, just in case you get in a situation where you need to fix a tire. Because, like I said, on some of those roads, on the back of the west side and the back of the east side, they recommend rental cars don't go, and on the east side they even make you sign a waiver that says you won't drive a rental car there, although they also make you sign one that says you can't drive your car to another state. Yeah. But in general, it's extremely fun. Don't worry about it too much. It's just riding, but enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, comment your experiences riding in Hawaii. Oh, and one more thing. My favorite ride of the whole trip, just so you have an idea of what you might want to do, was the east side, doing the whole thing. It was very challenging, but very worth it. See you next time.